And welcome to the big story right here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Today we're looking at one of Nigeria's most urgent climate challenges, extreme heat. Rising temperatures are already spoiling food, straining health systems, and making daily life harder for millions. But alongside this risk, there's also opportunity. Across the country, entrepreneurs are coming up with bold solutions from climate-smart farming to affordable cooling and off-grid energy. Supporting these innovations is the TEK4Heat Action Wave, or THAW, which helps early-stage ventures turn promising ideas into scalable businesses. And joining me to explore how entrepreneurship can drive climate resilience is Tochi Ginigeme, the director at Mesh Ventures. Welcome to the show, Tochi.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
It's really good to have you. And I see that you're doing the green for sustainability. Is it?
Yes, we're matching.
We're actually matching green for sustainability. All right, let's go into the conversation today. Extreme heat has become one of Nigeria's biggest climate threats in recent times. Why is this an urgent issue right now, and how is it changing life for communities and businesses?
No, thank you very much, and for having me here to discuss something that I believe is quite pertinent. When we talk about climate change, I think it's now become our reality, and it's important for businesses, for individuals to start thinking about how we can build climate resilience, right, around the work that we do every day. And so that's why I'm here today, really, to speak to entrepreneurs and innovators about why this is important and the steps that we can start to take to address it. I think when we look at Nigeria especially, we have a number of climate challenges or climate issues that can be threats to ways of life and standard of living. We talk about drought, we talk about rising temperatures, we talk about flooding. If you live in Lagos, you've probably seen what happened in the last couple of days. So although extreme heat is not, or rising temperatures more generally, is not the only climate challenge that we face, I think it's one of the more pressing ones because for example, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has issued several heat stress warnings this year. I think we've seen 3 this year alone, warning communities, especially across the 19 northern states, about rising temperatures and how they can adjust or be informed that this is happening. So take cover, so to speak.
Right. And a lot of people think that climate adaptation is government work. Why should entrepreneurs be on the front line of this fight?
Yes, the government has a significant role to play when it comes to climate adaptation. There's no doubt about that. It's the government's role to act paternalistically and look after its citizens. However, it's not only this obligation should not be reserved only for government agencies or MDAs. I think that entrepreneurs, the private sector, communities have an important role to play as well, because it's a collaborative effort, right? The private sector is responsible for driving innovations and working with communities and working with businesses to make the ecosystem more resilient. So I don't think that it's something that only the government should do. We need to get as many hands as possible involved in this important issue.
Absolutely. And you, Tochi, you get to work closely with early stage startups. When it comes to founders tackling climate problems, what sets the promising ones apart?
What sets promising founders apart when it comes to climate issues? I think, first of all, is a lot of the same characteristics or traits that set founders apart in general. So you want to see problem-solving abilities, you want to see resilience, you want to see innovation, you want to see ambition and drive. But because, again, this climate crisis is something that has been introduced in the last, I would say, decade or two, a lot of founders are still trying to get used to it and trying to understand it. And not just founders, even experts in various fields are trying to understand the impact of the changing climate on ecosystems, on livelihoods, on ways of working, and trying to build around it. So I think fundamentally, if you're a founder, there are certain traits that set you apart if you're going to be successful. But beyond that, we want to start seeing more and more founders get curious about the impact of their innovations on the environment and also build for resilience, right? How are they thinking about the environment as a stakeholder? So you talk about your stakeholders, it's no longer just internal and external. It's looking across your activities to see the impact that it's having on the environment, on the communities that you engage with as well.
And we're also seeing that agriculture is actually feeling the heat, in that regard. What innovative solutions are you seeing in food and farming?
Well, that's a great question. And when it comes to agriculture and food systems, it's one of the more critical areas of any economy. You have to be able to cater to the populace and feed the nation, as we like to say. And it's so fantastic to see the technologies and the innovations that have come out of that space. We've seen farmers and agripreneurs begin to introduce drought-resistant crop varieties, for example. We've seen soilless farming practices. We've seen circular irrigation systems launched. We've also seen a lot of innovations with cooling systems as well, and how clean energy is being incorporated across that value chain. So these are just a few. There are a whole plethora of innovations that we've seen. I think the agri economy is one of the rapidly evolving spaces when you talk about climate and innovation, and for good reason too, right? Because agriculture and climate very closely linked. So those are a few of the innovations that we've seen.
Right. And in Nigeria's cities, homes and workplaces, they're becoming dangerously hot. Entrepreneurs, which you deal with, all the time, are they actually coming up with affordable cooling or housing ideas that can make urban living even safer?
I would say that we have seen some new systems that directly address heating in urban areas and in houses. One of the more prominent ones that's become quite prevalent is solar cooling. So solar panels essentially being used to generate electricity and power cooling systems. We've seen more affordable cooling systems now being introduced, portable cooling systems as well. There are some solar hand fans. There's some portable hand fans that have recently been introduced. But I think beyond that, we're going past enabling tech, which is how we typically categorize these types of innovations, to how can we build, so kind of like going further upstream to say, even when we're conducting urban planning and infrastructure development, how do we make sure that the buildings are developed in a sustainable way, using materials that are not going to absorb heat, and also using material that's more sustainable so that it can withhold or withstand harsher climate conditions. So yes.
So you're going actually beyond. Do you have any of these entrepreneurs within your ecosystem that are already engaging in these practices?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of entrepreneurs come to mind who are now thinking about, in the construction, specifically in the construction space, who are now thinking about what types of construction materials are being introduced into the market, how are these being sourced, how sustainable are they, and how well adapted are they to the changing climate. We're also seeing that in commercial buildings as well. We're seeing people trying to make the most use of space, so building stores that are more efficient and at the same time properly ventilated.
And we also see that heat also, of course, comes with its own health risks, from medicine storage to outdoor workers' safety. How are these startups stepping up in where health systems are falling short? Are they stepping up?
Healthcare is another critical area. And with rising temperatures, there are it does stress the healthcare infrastructure that we currently have. And what we're seeing now is some certain healthcare providers are introducing early warning signals, especially across rural areas and communities, that can send out information to the communities to inform them of impending heat waves or changes in the climate, which I think is quite important. However, there are some challenges. We don't yet have a national heat action plan, which we have seen some other countries starting to implement now, because policy is very important, right? So policy is going to guide how a lot of these innovations get dispersed or distributed across the public, how they are supported, and also how they operate within existing systems. So when it comes to healthcare, I think that's an important area that entrepreneurs should look towards innovating in. We are seeing innovations already, as I said earlier, with early warning signals and communities. I guess I'd say with healthcare being more accessible in certain communities that are more susceptible to these extreme temperatures, like in the north, for example. NIMET had actually reported record high temperatures in certain parts of the north of up to 44 degrees C. And when you think about the way our economy is designed and the number of people that work outdoors, then that poses a health risk. So more effort is required, calling on entrepreneurs as well. They have innovative solutions that can support the healthcare industry. That would be great to see.
Absolutely great. And we're also seeing that with Nigeria's power grid under strain, continuous strain, what are some of the opportunities that exist for off-grid energy, for renewable cooling, or even smarter energy solutions? What are some of these opportunities existing?
I think the number of opportunities that exist in that space, and I would say that many households and even businesses have recently had to reconsider their energy mix just to make sure that it's not fully dependent on the national grid or on unsustainable energy sources. So we're seeing increased penetration of solar panels and solar energy and inverters and other clean energy sources as well. So I think there are opportunities. What's great to see is how these opportunities are being put together so that it's accessible and it's affordable. So there are embedded finance now. There are embedded finance systems within this space that allow people to purchase solar panels on a certain plan or pay as you go, just to make it more affordable so that people can take advantage of these clean energy sources.
And funding climate ventures, we know they can be very tricky. What makes resilience-focused startups attractive to investors, and what barriers are they still up against?
It's a great question. I think funding startups is risky because by the very nature of startups, they're unproven, they're trying to be disruptive. So it's a risky venture. Funding climate startups is interesting because, as I said, the space is still fairly nascent and it's just starting to gain traction. So there are huge upfront costs, which commercial investors may not be willing to absorb. But what we're seeing is impact investors or impact-focused investors are very keen on this because they don't account for value in terms of monetary terms alone. They care about the impact on the environment, on the people, on the communities. And so that has been a great match, I would say, for climate entrepreneurs, connecting them to funders or investors that have this thesis, that care about the environment. So I think is something that has worked. In terms of barriers that they're still up against, I would say that just adaptation, right, and adoption. I think those are two words that need to be in place for us to roll out climate solutions at scale, right? We need people to be aware of these challenges, to adapt to it, or be willing to adapt to it, and we need to make it affordable and accessible, right? So I think that's one challenge, because it still seems very niche. Certain areas, especially in urban areas, as I said earlier, the energy mix is more diverse. You have clean energy sources, but in certain rural areas, there's still huge dependencies on the grid or other less sustainable sources of energy. So we do need to make this affordable, and we need to roll it out at scale. So I think that's one challenge that entrepreneurs would have to think about. How do we get this to the last mile? How do we get this to rural areas? Majority of Nigerians live in rural areas. So how do we make sure that these technologies and these innovations are available to them where they are?
And speaking about making this available to them where they are, tell us more about the Heat Action Wave program. I mean, beyond seed funding, how does it actually help these entrepreneurs actually scale their ideas?
So the TEK4Heat Action Wave is a program that's been implemented in Nigeria by BFA Global, with support from FSD Africa and Climate Works Foundation. So it's a very exciting time, because it's the first time the program is being implemented in Nigeria. And it's targeted at young entrepreneurs, early stage startups, early stage businesses, small and growing businesses, as we like to say, who have or are building solutions that's targeted towards heat resilience, heat adaptability. And what we're looking for, it doesn't matter if you're a solo founder or you have a team, but we're looking for businesses who have a working prototype of some sort. So super early stage is fine, but we do want to see that you have a thesis and there's a prototype. There's some level of customer engagement already that has been established, just to kind of prove the concept at the earliest stage. And then we are supporting those businesses with venture building expertise. So that's tailored expertise to help these businesses through their customer discovery phases, help them with their commercial plans, and really just help them scale, hold their hands as they develop their business growth plans. But beyond the technical expertise, we're also going to connect them to a community of mentors, people who have deep experience and expertise in these sectors, to help them see what's possible and help them realize what's possible. And then the third thing, which I think is important, is the seed funding. So the program also offers non-dilutive funding for these entrepreneurs that are in Nigeria. Again, this program is for Nigerians, so it's for businesses that are registered in Nigeria. So that is a criteria. You have to be registered in Nigeria, but it's okay if it's a solo founder or you're with your team. Really encourage climate entrepreneurs to apply. We talked about some of the barriers that they face with rolling out their solutions and achieving that scale that makes commercial investors interested in them. So it's a fantastic program for them to plug into, get guidance on how to build your businesses and your startups, receive expert mentorship from advisors, and then qualified startups would get a chance to receive seed funding.
Absolutely fantastic. So it's for built by Nigerians, but not just for Nigerians, right?
So this program is for businesses that are operating in Nigeria.
Operating in Nigeria. Wow. So looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunities for climate-focused entrepreneurship in Nigeria? And really, what's your advice for young innovators who want to make a difference?
I think that it's a big question.
Is it a big question?
It's a big question when you
Okay.
talk about where do you see the opportunities. But to be quite honest, I think that there are opportunities across different industries when it comes to climate adaptation, because it's not, climate change is not going to affect or impact certain industries. It's going to change the way of life and the way of living. And entrepreneurs, the one thing they're good at is solving problems. So now we have this new problem or this new way of living that we're all trying to get used to. So whether you're in the fintech space, whether you're in logistics, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. I think there's an opportunity for you to start thinking about how you can build around the changing climate, how you can incorporate climate-friendly practices into your core operations, and then how you can work with communities that are around you to ensure that they feel ready and they are thinking about climate adaptation and climate resilience. So I think the opportunities are across all sectors. I wouldn't say this area is where the bulk of the opportunities lie. I think across all key developmental sectors, there are opportunities for you to start thinking about climate.
All right. Thank you very much, Tochi Ginigeme, Director at Mesh Ventures. Thank you for all the work you do, and I wish you all the best with the TEK4Heat Heat Action Wave program as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, this has been the big story right here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. Up next is Social Listening. Do stay with us.